This is Chivalry 2. We're taking a look at the game on Steam, and this is a sponsored video by Chivalry 2. So I'm able to jump in here and take a look at the game running, talk about the new Tenosian update, and give you full context into just what this PC version of the game provides. So for context, I have been quite a fan of Chivalry 2. I've played a ton of it, I've streamed a ton of it, and it has continued to be a blast. It's almost, I think, a year or so since release, and we've seen numerous big content updates, but this is by far the biggest. Now, it should be noted that they're having their biggest sale ever for the game, or well, biggest discount ever. So on Steam, you can get 40% off for a limited time, which again is the best discount they've ever done, and that is coming alongside what they are providing as the biggest update the game's ever received. It's a completely free update, like the other updates have been, that just keep improving and adding content to the game in a steady design. If you're looking for a title that continues to deliver content for you, Chivalry 2 is definitely that game. So the game is ending its first year of exclusivity on the Epic Game Store, and is now ready to deliver on Steam. So we get 2 new objective maps, 2 new team deathmatch maps, a new faction called Tenosia, and tons of new customization options, and finally horses, which you were seeing. Yeah, so the horse charges and the, embracing the cavalry is kind of awesome. So you're also going to be seeing a number of different performance type options because, I want to talk about the game, but I also want to give you context for performance, so I'm using an i9 9900K with a RTX 2080 Ti, which I still think is some pretty good hardware, and you do get some pretty good results with the game as you are seeing on the screen. But you will notice occasionally I will pop up into the settings menu, which will A, give you a look at the different setting options that are present, and then B, allow you to see how the game kind of performs when you make other adjustments. So you're going to be seeing that pop up in just a second here. But let's quickly talk about some other stuff. So we've got mounted combat. There are these moments where it's like, join the cavalry, similar to in the other battles where it's like you can become a monk for a situation, or some kind of other, become the farmer, for example, or whatever situation where you become a different type of character from your traditional class. So here we go, we're going to settings, we're going to options. So these are just the general things, changing the toggles. There's good controller support, there's good mouse and keyboard support, and then video, we have a lot of different choices for video. Resolution rendering, do you want a frame rate cap? I limited it to 60 because, well, that's what my monitor does, and also for general filming, it's a lot more demanding when you have an uncapped frame rate, obviously. So then you can do all these other things, such as viewing distance, or the certain fidelity, or particles. But on top of that, and that's something that's going to be our big focus, because I know it makes a big difference in games, is going in and adjusting the options for the, basically the DLSS. So you can sort of do performance, quality, or balance, and you will definitely notice great bounds with the performance mode. And I have to say, you can notice a bit of a difference, a subtle difference between the different options, but I would say going with any of those options actually keeps things going really, really smooth and well. Now, when I just played this, at the beginning there, I was showing just the default settings, just running the game with the default optimized tuning. And you know what? It looks and plays pretty good. It really does. This is, in general, it's a gorgeous game. I think a lot of people really overlook just how beautiful this title is, and it's filled with depth and content. So now we're going to switch over to talking about more of the key points of this update, the Tenosian update. Well, the Tenosian invasion. So this is the brand new faction. They are a serpent empire which has emerged from the shadows, causing issues for the kingdom of Agatha. This faction brings brand new customization options and new voiceover work, because they like to do that when they do new character things. They bring in some new voice work, which is always exciting, because it does help with the immersion when the environment and the experience is adjusted in regards to the sounds, like the yelling, the cheers, and everything like that. So we've also got new maps, which I mentioned. The Breach of Bodwin, which is an objective map. The Tenosians break through a mason bulwark with siege equipment, including the new explosive bombards. The Raising of Askinder, which is an objective map. The Masons invade a Tenosian port city, aiming to demolish their lighthouse and burn down their massive library, which is really, really cool. Seriously, both of these new objective maps are great. I love the objective maps in Chivalry. I think they're a lot of fun. You get some crazy setups. And it's just like the idea of coming in here, breaking through this city, you know, this really, really gorgeous city, spilling blood and you know, causing intense amounts of gore, which another thing I really love about this game. It's just how violent it is. It's, you know, I always describe this as Battlefield, but with, like, knights. Like, good Battlefield with knights, and it just works. And the combat feels so good, and I'll dive into some more general review stuff in a bit, but I do have other talking points I want to get to. See, like, I genuinely do love playing this game. We play it, like, all the time. It's a great experience. But just, like, going back to what I was saying, like, the idea of coming in here and you're just, like, burning the library and everything like that, I'm like, it's so intense, but that's what Chivalry is just, like, crazy, almost realism, I would say, in regards to the era and how things are handled. They're done. Like, you're destroying structures and everything like that. It's crazy. So we've got 2 team deathmatch matches. So these are just where you go and you do conflict. Usually they're between objective rounds. So we've got Desert, which is, you know, team deathmatch. A battle on the outskirts of Bodwin in the dark. It's a cold night. So that one is really different because it's really quite dark, but you can still see everything. And it's got that neat vibe that it's in the desert and it's at night, and it's just got like a really good setup to it. And then there's the Charge of Wardenglade. So this is the classic open field of Wardenglade, but now with horses. And the horses are really, really cool. I also want to mention that console server browser support is now available, and future cross-platform party play is coming down the road. So one of the things that we've been kind of asking for a while, I would say in this one, is the server options, especially from a more console perspective, typically playing this on the Series X. Having a server browser is great. And I mean, I think it's almost essential too for a PC type game to get that kind of, you know, setup. But for what we were doing just to do video stuff, there was a specific playlist highlighting the new map, and eventually you'll just see it in regular rotation. And the game in general does have a healthy selection of maps and content. It really does. Completely distinct locations, large-scale maps that have multi-tiers to them, crazy, wacky combat, hilarity, and it's a great time. Now, I don't have my typical class setup because, you know, it's on the Steam version of things, but you get a good feel for things, and I like playing as the knight, but you can do other things, as you've been very likely seeing in the game. You know, you can be an archer, you can be someone that has, like, a mace, you could be someone that has a long spear for stabbing people, and you can also get more creative. You can pick up objects and kind of throw them. This is where our friend Rockle comes from, is picking up rocks and throwing them at people. We call it Rockle. But yeah, you can also pick up things like bread. There's literally an achievement for killing people with so many pieces of bread, which was a pain to do, but it was fun to earn. You could also pick up things like an anvil, or you can pick up like fish and throw them at people. There's a lot of items. There should actually honestly be an achievement for killing people with, you know, a variety of miscellaneously thrown things. And you can also throw your other weapons. And that's a part of the game that I really love, is how the combat is handled. It really feels quite fluid, dynamic, and intense, because how you swing and use your sword really does dynamically change how you fight others. You can block in different ways, you can strike in different directions, you can use like sidestepping, you can jump and attack, you can do a hold down hit, you can do a straight kind of stab, which you see me do a lot of, because I find the straight stab to be quite effective, especially against blocking. And then there's shields that come into the mix. Some people might be on horses. There's a lot going on in this one. And on top of combat, you've just got like this intense wackiness where it's like literally you could like, let's say you sever someone's you know, head or whatnot. You could pick that up and then throw it at someone, which is just crazy. Or you could pick up a chicken and throw it at someone. Or there's like another map that's not part of this update, but you know, it's in the game, where you like pick up pigs and you drop them off on a ship. It's a little crazy and a little wacky, but very, very entertaining and a great time. Seriously, I have such a blast playing this with my pals. We just go out screaming, yelling, because you do the battle cry, and you know, it's got good, you know, diversity in how you create and set up your particular, you know, soldier, your knight, your, you know, archer, whatever you want to call it, you know. And then you get all these commands for like interacting with others and interacting with things. Like you can use like ballistas to attack enemies and throw in an anvil. It's just like it's so entertaining, crazy, weird, and like it's very gory too, which is fun. I love that sense of like realism to it. It's like where it's like, yeah, no, war in this time would definitely be pretty personal and pretty crazy. But they do have a laugh with things, and you know, I think the mood is generally kind of fun and easygoing, but it's just got that seriousness too that works quite well. Great player lobby sizes in regards to the number of players that are in a particular match. There's different setups too if you want to kind of fine-tune things and be like, oh, I want to play with like a smaller amount and stuff. Like they give you choices for matchmaking, but it is set up in a way that it keeps people, you know, working. It's always easy to find matches. I haven't had any issues finding matches. And if there is a lack of players, they do have like a bot fill type thing. But for the most part, I usually stream this at really odd hours of the night too, and I still don't have issues coming across people, which I think is great. I love the support they've done for this game. You know, we were talking about this particular update here as a focus for this video, but you know, you look to the past, they've done some spectacular improvements and upgrades to this game, constantly adding just a whack load of new content for you to enjoy. And it's so rare to have a game that is fun, great, enjoyable, and has a steady amount of content to it, to the point where it's like, yeah, I want to keep coming back because there's something fresh to play all the time. And hopefully that's something that continues down the road. And I think just having this on Steam really opens it up to a whole big audience. Because Chivalry is a great game. It's a lot of fun. The second one is very, very well designed. It plays well. It looks good. It's very aesthetically pleasing. I love the diversity in regards to the different terrains and locations you have to fight in. More traditional fields. Now we have more desert type areas. You got markets. You've got kingdoms. You got like farmer homesteads. There's like churches. It's crazy, and it kind of fully fulfills the, I guess you would say, knight type combat fantasy, if that makes sense. Because I feel like there's a real lack of games like this, you know, where you're kind of knights fighting. We get lots of shooters, but we don't really get anything that's like melee combat focused. And when we do, it's always hit or miss, but this just seems really well put together the whole way through. And it has certainly been as I've played it on the Series X, and now taking a look at it on Steam. I'm very happy with the experience and how it looks and how it runs and what it has to offer. And I could have went a little bit more technically detailed on some of this stuff, but it is more a general review of the game, talking about the highlighted points of the experience, and giving you a showcase of what this has to offer. There we go, good old little Rockle here, give him a throw. But yeah, you just go nuts with this one, you have a great time. If you can rope in some friends to play it with you, you're going to have a great, enjoyable experience, because it is even more fun to do the battle cries and fight together and crazy, like, you know, groupings and stuff like that. There is first and third person modes too, if you weren't aware of that. It's nice to have something on Steam where it like really scales, because, you know, obviously PC games, so there's going to be great longevity in this one, something you can go back and enjoy for a very long time, which I think is great. So it's just got a variety of different ways to play. It is fun to dive into this new update, because, you know, when new updates come out for games, everybody always gets really excited about them. And just coming in here and like fighting on this one, I think is a really, really good time, because the selection of maps is fantastic. You know, usually get like a death match or two, and then one objective map. To get 2 objective maps and then also 2 team deathmatch maps in one update is pretty crazy, and it feels really, really good to jump into these levels that have such neat and different aesthetic vibes to them. I think they did a spectacular job with it. Steal the horse, which is always entertaining. But no, I really like Chivalry 2. I always highly recommend it. You know, if you're looking for something different yet familiar, I think this one really hits the mark. I love doing that whole, you know, comparing it to like the good Battlefield experiences, but with knights and stuff. I think that does, to me, quite summarize how it feels. But beyond that, there's this nice level of intricacy to the knighted combat, the smoothness, the action of it all. They do a really good job with this one, and it's something I hope to be playing for a very long time, because I do see the potential in this being an experience that, you know, is future-proof from a visual perspective, but also something that's got enough support where I can be like, yeah, we're very likely going to be able to come back to this multiple times down the road and always have a good time with it, a good night playing it. Because that's important too. It's like when you get games, especially games where you're like, oh, this is more of a party thing for me, I love to play this with friends, that, you know, you can enjoy it in groups, and you always feel like everybody has like something fresh to enjoy when you come back to it. if you do love playing it solo, you know, it's a great time too. I love running in and doing the yelling and the screaming thing in the game. It's very entertaining to me. And alongside all of the, you know, the gory combat, the crazy action, like, look at the huge arrow through my character there. Just nuts. Shot me right off the world. So good. It's so well done. It's fun, but it's also competitive. It's easygoing, but it's action-packed, and it just provides countless hours of gameplay. It's something that you definitely will keep coming back to. So it's great that it's on Steam now. Very happy to see that available. I hope people give it a whirl. Again, it's, you know, the biggest deal ever right now, 40% off, and it's more than worth that because it's such a great experience. So once again, this was sponsored by Chivalry 2. It was great that I was able to have a more thorough excuse to come back and showcase this one, because I always do have fun playing Chivalry. Genuinely enjoy this game. It's so great.